Welcome to Corporate Caffeine. I'm Dacia Coffee. As a chief marketing officer, speaker, author, copywriter, and 3-time entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about influence and impact in the business world. So I want to share with you what I've learned about how to be heard, be seen, and be successful, and introduce you to the people I've met along the way who learned how to unlock their potential. Welcome back to Corporate Caffeine. As promised, today is part 2 of our conversation with Mike Mirau, executive coach. Let's jump in.
There are 4 things that have to be present for a sale to take place. Number 1, you got to be talking to a decision maker. Okay? What happens when you're not talking to a decision maker?
Circle the wagon.
There's a book, I can't remember what book it is, a sales training book, you might know, Mike, and they call them Seymours.
Yeah.
I want to see more.
Yeah,
and you do not want to build long-term relationships with Seymour because he can't say yes.
He can't pull the trigger.
That's
he can't write the check. So why waste a lot of time with somebody who can't make a decision? So you got to be talking to a decision maker. Second thing is there's got to be an identified problem, issue, challenge, or want. There's got to be an identified issue that you can solve.
No pain, no change.
If there is no issue there, walk away.
That's right.
Okay? I have come upon clients that, man, they're doing everything great. I'm going to have minimal impact on their organization.
Yep.
Okay? And that's great.
I had a prospect about 2 years ago. I still keep in touch with them loosely, but they have this outstanding software in regards to identifying the likely success of a technology investment. Outstanding. Mm-hmm. No one can touch them. Like what they can project is absolutely incredible. They've had so much success. They are bathing and rolling around in money, but they are nowhere close to their potential. And they know it. I mean, they know they are in a true blue ocean scenario where they could easily quadruple their revenue. And it's already pretty substantial. And we're talking, and I can see the blueprint of how to get them way past that, $1 billion mark and all of this. It's so evident. But I'm listening to him, and he is happy. They go out in the boat all the time. They know some of the most famous, successful business people. They work with the creme de la creme of companies. Mm-hmm. They are living living and loving their success. And I finally, at the end of the conversation, I said, I know exactly how to help you. And I don't think you'll move forward because no pain, no change.
Yeah.
And I said, what you're going to have to do this, I don't think you want it. And I said, so I need you to go back to your partners and you guys need to determine, do you really want that? Or are you loving, and sure enough, they didn't move forward. But I was like, I'm not having 10 more meetings to hear what I'm already hearing. That you just bought your sailboat, and that life is amazing and you've done what you want to do.
You can't want it more for them than they do. That's another recipe for disaster. If they don't want it, that's one of my criteria now with the folks I work with. I want people that want to grow and grow fast and crush their competition.
Yes.
Okay, not trying to be mean.
No.
But I want them to dominate when they play because we're playing to win. We're not playing just to play. We're playing to win. Let's go make something happen. And I want them to want to crush their competition, which means we got to get better. We got to be good at what we're doing. So you've got to have an identified issue. They've got to have an appetite to do something about it. And then last, they got to have a budget. They got to have money. Okay? If any of those 4 things are missing, you're not going to get a sale. Okay? And so when we ask questions, we need to uncover those things. We have to be an investigative reporter. We got to find out the facts, And that's sales. That is sales. And the last thing is be ready to close the thing. One of the biggest mistakes I see sales organizations make is they fail to follow up.
Oh, yes.
They get people, right, I'm ready to buy. And then nobody calls them for 2 weeks.
It's weird. I know.
This actually happened. This came up today when I was working with a client. I had referred an attorney, a good friend of mine, a really good business attorney, to this guy. He said, I called him, I talked to him, and he was supposed to get back to me. I didn't hear from him for 10 days. What? 10 days? That's 2 weeks.
That's
that's a pet peeve of mine. I've walked away and found someone else in a heartbeat and I just don't feel good about it.
No.
I was like, they must not want my business.
That's
Yes,
exactly
that's
right.
what you're communicating.
And so you got to have a sense of urgency about the deal. But here's the other thing I was going to say around sales. You have to control the sales process as a salesperson, not the customer. What happens when the customer says, well, I need to think about it?
They're not telling you something is what's happening.
Yeah. And so we need to undercover what it is they need to think about.
That's right. You have to be, like you said earlier, a buying partner.
Right.
Not across the table.
Yeah.
And if they will not tell you the truth, you cannot sell them anything.
Ask them.
That's right. Just ask them.
Ask them. Don't be
Run
afraid.
to the problem.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're not going to get the sale.
You already don't have
Or
it.
you get to know more about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can answer their question and they're ready to do the deal.
Exactly.
So you've got to uncover that stuff and be in a position to close the deal, follow up and close the deal. But you've got to control the sales process. When somebody says, give me the weekend and let me think about it. Okay, that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of times we're talking about a lot
Hey, on Monday it's 10% more. That's the sleazeball salesman, right?
I am not buying that car. I'm sorry.
This is a weekend discount on Friday, Saturday. That's it.
I always remember my boss at Interstate had a saying. He says, a good deal today is a good deal tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because we would get computer salespeople that would come in and say, if you will do this thing by tomorrow, we can get you this discount. And I'll say, well, can you get me the same discount on Monday? Yeah, probably. I'll say, well, I'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's all these gimmicks. People hate gimmicks. They hate them. Yeah. And so, but as a salesperson, you should ask the question, when should I follow up with you?
Yes.
Okay.
When
time. Should I follow up with you?
Yep.
You are still now in control of the sales process. So many times it's like, okay, Dacia, call me when you're ready. Call me when you
do that.
It's dead at that point.
And here is also what I've learned. It is respectful to get on someone's calendar immediately, because what happened is now you're not on their to-do list. Nobody wants more to-dos, especially busy leaders. No. So the number one thing you want to do is don't give them a to-do. Get it to done, and that means get on their calendar.
Get on their calendar, and we're gonna talk on Wednesday at 2:00.
Yes. They do not want an unexpected call. Just you going, hey, I'm checking back with you. It's Tuesday, right when you're in the middle of the meeting. Yeah, you're notorious for doing that. I'm scheduling a call before you get off your last call. I'll go ahead and give that away, but that's what she does every single time. Let's schedule our next call.
I am very good at that. Exactly.
But it's a huge problem with professional salespeople is they don't follow up. They don't control the sales process. Yeah. So the next area is operations. Okay, so we've done leadership, marketing, sales, operations. That's the delivery of your products and services. This is where processes come into play. We back in the 80s and 90s, we all had the quality movement, okay? Quality is nothing more than being able to look people in the eye and promise them that they're going to get what they expect. That's all quality is. And quality is defined by the customer, not the seller.
That's right. Value
and
quality are defined by the customer.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how can you ensure that the customer is going to get what they expect every single time? You have a process. Okay, this is the value of processes. Okay, I always tell people processes give you a predictable outcome. Okay, if you look inside of a computer, now we'll put my geek hat back on. When you look inside the computer, the most important thing inside that box is the CPU, the central processing unit. Okay, all it does, that thing is dumb as that plant right there. Okay, it doesn't know what day it is. It doesn't know what time it is. It only does what it's told. Okay, well, that's what your people do. They only do what they're told, the way they're shown, the instructions they're given. Okay, I always tell people processes are like the recipe on the back of the cake box. Okay, what happens if you skip a step on the back of the cake box?
Usually not good.
Yes, you don't get the cake that you expected, right?
Right.
And so it's a funny story. I was working with a client, and we actually worked in their living room. They didn't have an office, and so we were looking in their living room, and their daughter was making a cake for some high school thing that she was doing. And we sit there, and you know how you test a cake to see if it's done. You put a toothpick in it, right? Well, she kept putting it in and pull out this glob. She'd wait 20 minutes, come back and do it again, pull out a glob. And after doing that about 4 or 5 times, she goes, there's something not right. This cake's not getting, the oven's not working. The oven was working. And she had forgotten to put one of the ingredients in the cake to make it bake.
Yeah.
The baking soda.
Yeah.
Something like that. And we sat there and watched, and she had done all this work, but she had skipped that one step and didn't get her cake. So Dad gave her $20. She went to the grocery store and bought a cake. But it's the recipe to get the outcome that you want. That's what processes do. And a lot of people don't understand the value of that.
I love that definition.
And so if you think about process, one of the biggest challenges is people don't have their processes documented. The processes are all up here in everybody's head. Okay? What happens when that person that knows how to work that piece of equipment or do that process walks out the door because he got mad one day? Seen it happen.
Yeah.
I got the phone call. So-and-so just quit. What? Why? Well, he got mad about something. People do this stuff all the time. And there goes that institutional knowledge out the door.
Yeah.
Okay? What was that worth? Okay, what's it going to cost the organization to recreate that? So processes protect the company. Okay, they protect the company. You get the stuff out of somebody's head and onto a piece of paper. But the other thing it does is when we're onboarding people, what are we training them from? Okay, we don't have a document that says this is the way we do this. Then you're not going to get the outcome that you expect.
Yep.
So you've got to document your core processes. And I get asked this question a lot. Which processes should I document first? The ones that make you money. Okay? The ones that make you money. Okay?
Right?
Yeah. So let's think about that. What are the core processes that make you money? Your marketing process, your sales process, delivery of your products and services, and invoicing and collection. That's the core processes in every business. You do these in some shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
So document those first because everything else supports that engine.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So your technology, your HR, your all the accounting and all that other stuff, it's so funny to watch them. They'll go to the stuff that's easy. Well, let's document our hiring process. Okay, we'll get to that. But let's work on the ones that make you money first.
Yeah.
The ones that impact your customer first, and they're a little harder, they're a little more complicated, but having documented processes, it adds value to your business also. I had 2 clients that were in the printing business, and they both had decided to sell. They were both doing about $1.2 million in sales. But one guy was like the guy. I mean, he sold, he printed, he delivered, he did it all. He's working himself to death. He had no staff. He always talked about, I don't have any people I got to manage. I get to do whatever I want to do. Work all the time is what he was doing. So when he got ready to sell his business, he only got the value of the assets in the customer list.
Yes.
He didn't get any of the stuff that made the business valuable.
Yes.
The other guy had an operations manual. He had an operations manager, had a salesperson, had a customer service person. This guy got like 5x.
Wow.
The other guy.
Yeah.
Okay? They were both doing the same amount of top line revenue.
Right.
So you want to add some value to your business, document your processes.
It's interesting right now. Having heard you talk about the importance of processes, we have our core ones, but then there's the messy middle. And being a creative and a disruptor, me documenting processes.
It's painful, isn't it?
Yeah. But one of the things, one of my aha moments was I realized because I love people and I love growing our team and I love seeing them successful, that when they ask questions, I realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to record this call or I'm going to write the email in a manner that is actually a stepped process or bullet points, and then I copy it and I save it.
There you go.
It's just like it's happening by like piecemeal, bit by bit. But just one of our new chief marketing officers, she's implementing an automation system, and that is not one of those things you onboard something like you train it when it comes up because it's too big. And I realized we've done this many times because we've all known how to do this. So we just picked up the ball and ran with it when it was our turn. Mm-hmm. And I went, oh, wow, I've never documented a single aspect of this. And this is a big deal, and it's an easy process to document that can cause a lot of problems. And so I'm trying to just, and I just told her the truth. I said, I'm going to get you videos and documents of all this. Just hang with me.
Yeah.
We're going to use this to maximum effectiveness.
Process is not really hard to do. Okay. People think it's a lot more difficult than they think. You can do process documentation on a yellow legal pad and a pen. Just write down what you do. Okay. And here's how you test it. You give it to somebody and say, do that and see if you get the outcome. If you do, you got your process.
Yeah.
To go back to those two businesses selling that basically had equal revenue, people out there who are trying to sell their business have to really understand that, because you're not always looking for the buyer that already knows that business. One of the guys sold it for their client list probably to another printing company.
Probably did.
Who said, oh, we just need that extra
and we need
revenue
the equipment too.
And equipment.
Yeah.
And the other one sold it to a business guy who said, oh, there's this type of margin in this business. I don't know anything about it, but I do know numbers, and I know that it's profitable. I'm ready to purchase it.
Absolutely. And that's why his multiple was 5x as opposed to the other guy.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard to do, and it adds so much value to your business, but it also is the reason you can look your client in the eye and say you're going to get what you paid for. Okay? One of the things I've learned about the coaching business is that people appreciate the fact that I have a process. I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Everything I do is proven over and over with hundreds of thousands of companies. Okay? I'm not making this stuff up. This is what works in these high-performing businesses. And the fact that we have it into a systematic, paint-by-the-numbers process gives them confidence that they're going to get the outcome that they want.
Yeah.
And so operations is all about delivering what people bought in a way that they feel good about their investment, they feel good that they got the quality they expected, and they are more than willing to pay for it. Okay? That's the other thing. Well, people aren't willing to pay their bill. Well, it's because they probably don't perceive they got the value that they expected to pay. I love to pay my bill when I get the value.
Yes.
I want to say thank you. And Dave Ramsey has a saying, he says, people vote with their dollars.
I love that. Yes.
And
so true.
People vote with their dollars. And so, having your processes defined so that your operational side of your business is very consistent and predictable. This is how you figure out capacity also. Okay? Because capacity, I always tell people, go get the business, we'll figure out how to deliver it. Okay? Well, that's real tough if we go out and 3x the business. We get some great marketing and sales, but now we got to figure out how to deliver it. If your processes aren't clear, you can't scale.
That's right.
See, that's the other issue is you can't scale. Everybody goes, well, I want to be bigger. Great. How are you going to do that? You can't scale your organization if you don't have your processes clearly defined. And who owns those processes? Who's responsible for making sure they're as efficient and produce the outcome that you want?
Because if the answer is the CEO, you are not scaling anything.
No, you're not. You're going to run into a capacity problem.
Consistently, too.
So that's operations. And then the fifth area is customer relationships. Who's managing the relationship with the customer post-sale? Okay? A lot of times it's a customer service group or somebody, but who is making sure that they love us? Okay? And I used to get a really nice handwritten card every year from a vendor that said, thank you for working with me. I appreciate every bit of your business. And here's a Starbucks gift card for $5. Go get a cup of coffee on me. Okay? Now that didn't cost him but $5 and a stamp. Okay? And you know what? My perception of that person went way up compared to the other guy that sold me the same stuff that did nothing. See, it's ways that you can gain favorable position with your customers. Just little things that you can do. And it doesn't take a lot. But that's going to deliver that repeat business, those referrals, and those testimonials.
This comes so much back to process and culture. in that one too, right? Because like, for instance, professional services business, this is challenging. Building process around people's creativity and innovation. So our processes are about garbage in, garbage out. So how do we have a process where you have good stuff going in, which maximizes the likelihood that excellence is going to come out. But the other thing is we have a small but mostly flat organization too. We don't try to keep our creative team, our doers, away from clients. And that has a lot to do. You have to really trust your team to have the same values and the same amount of empathy and care and concern and integrity, that even though we all have different personalities, that the clients are going to choose to love them because we're bringing the same values and excellence to the table, even though it's in different ways. But I mean, man, you have to be very thoughtful about it, and it can be nerve-wracking, but when you let it go, people will be better.
And I tell people all the time, this should not be by accident.
Yeah.
There's a guy that's written a book. His name is Joey Coleman, and the name of the book is Never Lose a Customer Again. And he talks about this process of managing the entire relationship from beginning, interest, sale, delivery of services, and ongoing.
Yeah.
And the premise of the book is that people are making a decision in the first 90 days of the relationship whether they're going to be with you long term or not. So what can you do early on in that relationship to lock those people in where they won't even think about going somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay? So the customer relationship should be by design, not by accident. And architect how you want them to feel about you and your organization. Okay? One of the things we do when I get a referral from a customer or from a strategic partner, well, I'll always send some kind of gift back to let them know how much I appreciate. It's little stuff like that that gets them wanting to give me more.
Yes.
Okay, because they like the attention. It's just like Christmas. You get a box in the mail. It's like, whoa, what is this?
Yes.
And it doesn't. There's a wonderful book written by a guy named John Ruhlin called Giftology.
Oh, I follow his emails. He is marvelous.
He's a pretty awesome guy.
Oh my gosh, he has so many good ideas.
But he's built a business around corporate gifting.
Okay. Yes.
And using it as a marketing tool. And he's got all these stories that he tells about how gifting a client has led to more business and done different things. So I'm a big fan of John's. And so what are you doing to it's also a way to differentiate yourself, I mean, we can all sit here. I promise you, we could sit here and talk about the last 10 times we got really bad service.
Easily. Yeah.
Easy, right? Because it's so common out there.
Yeah.
How long could we talk about having really great service or a great experience? Okay? We were on vacation in Orlando, and we actually went to a couple of the Disney parks. Okay? Epcot I was not blown away with, but the animal park was awesome. But you know what? Everybody that worked at Disney was incredibly nice, very fun, very engaging, and my wife made a comment. She goes, "These are such nice people." I said, "They're trained to be that way. It's not accidental. They are trained that they call them being on stage."
Yeah.
As
they're
opposed
a cast.
to
They're not
cast.
even
They're not employees. They're cast members.
Yes.
What kind of mind thing does that
so
do?
Different.
I'm on stage. People are watching me. They're watching how I interact, and it's by design. Yeah. Disney is great about that, and so as an organization, it's on us. I tell people business growth should come from 3 areas: existing customers, marketing efforts, and strategic relationships. Okay, 50, 25, 25. 50% of your growth should come from your existing customer base. And if it's not, then why not? What are we not doing that people are willing to refer us? Okay, and a lot of it is we never ask.
Yes. We
never ask for a referral. I mentioned John Janich earlier. He's got a book called The Referral Engine. And it really gives some really good tips and ideas on how to build a referral program. okay, without coming across as, oh, please, 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 give me business. You don't want to do that.
No.
You want them to want to give you a referral.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you architect an experience that makes them to want to refer you to somebody that they know? Because they know this is a small world. Everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's amazing. My wife and I, we never go anywhere that we don't run into some place that she knows somebody. Everywhere. We're in the Treehouse restaurant in San Diego at the San Diego Zoo, and this guy walks up, Tammy? And I'm like, who is that?
How is this happening?
You didn't know she was a TikTok star.
I didn't. Yeah. I was like, whoa, this is weird. But it's phenomenal how small the world is, especially with social media.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the other side of it. If you don't create a great customer experience, people are going to talk about it, and they're going to talk about it on social media. They're going to say, hey, especially if they're mad.
American Airlines.
Yeah, that's one we could lament about. But the when people are mad, they take to social media.
Yes.
Okay, so it takes 1/10 the amount of effort to sell to an existing customer as it does to find a new customer.
Yeah.
And we don't recognize the value of that. And so there's no investment, there's no design to it, and it can be one of the biggest ways to grow.
You probably know the statistic better than I do, so I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but I think the statistic is that a 2% reduction in customer churn, so just keeping 2% more of your customers or that revenue, is equivalent to a 10% cut in costs.
Yeah.
Like it has that much of an impact on your profit. And a 10% cut in cost is hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That is a big slash.
But getting 2% stopping the churn, and it's really interesting. A lot of people don't know their numbers, and that leads to the eighth area. So, if you can do something that gets people to stay with you and continue to refer to you, I mean, that is gold. It is gold. You're mining for gold every time you do business with them. And doing it intentionally. Not just because we're nice people, but really architecting that experience you want them to have. And it's just as important. It's that nurture marketing. It's just as important as the attraction piece.
Yeah.
If not more important.
Yes.
So we've done leadership, marketing, sales, operations, customer relationship. Now we go to people. Okay? People is one of those areas that most organizations don't do very well. Okay? Now let me give you an example. Have either of you ever been professionally trained in how to hire somebody?
No.
Okay, but yet you still have to hire people, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so how do we hire people?
I have so many stories. I don't even know how to answer that. So many good and bad ones.
And she does have an extensive interview process, steps to it. I mean, it's documented.
Yeah, it's still hard.
But it's always changing.
Yeah.
Also.
Because we
do qualify them through resumes, X, Y, and Z. And when it comes down to it, there's multiple interviews. Then it's the gut reaction of,
I know.
Do these people fit our culture?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, we kind of figure that out early in the stage, or hopefully we do.
Because I do the culture check first.
That's the deciding factor majority
hard.
of the time.
So hard.
It's not always experience.
No.
It's will they fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most people hire the way they've been hired.
Mm.
They use the process that was used on them.
Sure.
They got a job.
That makes sense.
Well, no, we don't do this. I don't do it.
Well, you have big business background too, like Coca-Cola, Anheuser-Busch, and
a lot of automation. How else do I put that?
Let's take the people out of the people process.
Yeah, I know.
So
I bet I've got a long story behind that, but should I go? Anyways,
go ahead.
I'm already in sales of Coca-Cola and this, that, and the other, and I was looking. I forget which type of move I was going to make, and I go, you know what? I'm just going to test their system. And I put in for a part-time gate checker at a place I was already working for years. Couldn't get an interview. It's not what I was looking for. I just wanted to go to HR and say, Do you realize there might be a little issue here that, my name might not even have popped up on something I'm well overqualified for?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, I've seen that happen, and I'm not opposed to HR management systems. I'm not opposed to those at all. As a matter of fact, they can be very valuable because it can eliminate some of the administrative work that you need to do. But you got to know how to use them, and you got to understand that you're still dealing with a person on the other end of that phone, on the other side of that piece of paper. There was an interesting statistic several years back from the Society of Human Resource Management that says that 70% of the information that is on a resume or on a LinkedIn profile is either embellished or false.
What?
70%.
The false thing kills me. Embellished.
70%?
70%.
What?
Yeah, 70%. Okay. Well, how many times do we hear in the news, so-and-so just got fired because they said they had a degree from some university that they never attended? We see this all the time.
We see it with politicians, the ones that you're going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You don't think anyone's going to call you out? You're on the public stage.
Exactly.
Well, and the reason why people do that is because organizations don't do the checking. They're so worried about getting a butt in the seat that they don't do the reference checking or validating that these people are telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so your hiring process has to ferret that out. There's a great book written by a guy named Brad Smart called Top Grading. And that was a process that he used as a consultant for General GE when Jack Welch was there. And what they did was he did these reference checks. Okay, he called it the truth serum because he would have them set up the reference call, not them pick up the phone and set up the reference call. He would have the person applying for the job set up the reference call.
That's brilliant.
And what if they go, well, I don't want you to talk to my old boss, And one of the great questions that we try to get people to ask is, which of the person that you're talking to in the reference, would you enthusiastically rehire this person?
Yeah.
What are they saying when they hesitate?
Yes, and that's all you needed to know.
That's it.
There's something there.
Yeah.
Okay, and we get lazy when it comes to hiring people because we got to get a butt in the seat, because if we don't get a butt in the seat, then I got to do this work.
And exactly, the longer it goes on, the more stressed out you're getting.
That's exactly right. So let's get somebody in there. Hopefully we'll get one.
Yeah.
Statistically, according to Brad, the chance of you hiring an A player is 1 out of 4. Okay, statistically. All right.
That makes sense.
You guys have heard of the Container Store, right?
Oh, yeah.
They have a philosophy over there that 1 A player equals 3 C players. Okay?
I totally buy that. Yes.
So you can have fewer people and pay more money if you will take the time to do a good hiring process.
Yeah.
Okay? And the number one issue that I hear in organizations is, I got people problems.
Mm-hmm.
I got the wrong people in the wrong seats doing the wrong stuff. Okay?
Yep.
Whose fault is that?
I know, right?
Whose fault is that? And so part of it is having a process that will produce the A players for you. So that's the attraction part of it. But then we get to the retention part. How do you get them to stay?
Yeah.
Okay? And one of the things we do every quarter with all of our clients is we categorize. We do an employee evaluation of whether they're an A player, a B player, a BC player, or a C player. Okay? A players have high alignment with your core values and are highly productive. Okay? We call those the thoroughbreds. We want lots of those people.
Right.
Okay? B players are high alignment with your values but low productivity. They could be new, or it could be they need a kick in the pants.
Or they're
in the wrong seat.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So what are we doing to move these guys? So we do a performance improvement plan with those people to say, if you do this here, you can be over here. Okay? BC players, highly productive, but they're jerks. There's low alignment with the core values.
That's dangerous.
Okay? And so these are people that need a behavior change. Okay? We don't talk to people like that. We don't do this to our coworkers. We don't do this to our customers or our vendors or whoever. Okay? So it's about a behavior change. Low alignment with the values, but highly productive. We don't want to get rid of them because they're highly productive, but we want to help them understand that the current behavior is not going to get you there. Then there's the C players. C players, low values, low productivity. Okay, we call C the door. Okay, you want to get those people out of your organization as quickly as possible, because we call them the donkeys. Okay, thoroughbreds and donkeys don't like each other. Okay, so how do you think about it? These people are up here working hard, running hard, making stuff happen, and these guys are just kind of lolling around the yard, just kind of taking up space.
We used to see it all the time, and I don't know if there's a stat out there, but you did bring up 25% earlier, and I was going to circle back to that as well when it entails with sales. Throughout my history, I've seen there's 25% of a sales force that are top performers, carry all the weight, 50% get by, meet expectations on a review, and then 25% are low performers. You're always trying to circle in and fill that position. It's something that I'm like, all right, that's got to be written down somewhere because I've seen it over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it's like the 25% that carry that business and that sales that you're like, all right, how do we get just half these people to achieve what they're doing or even come close?
Yeah.
And, it's tricky though, because you do need people to fill that seat. It's just you got to be willing to let that bottom 25%, that door revolve.
So what is the level of investment that you're going to make in those B players or BC players to get them to be an A player?
Yeah.
And BC, this is why we do this every 90 days, because you can see people move from box to box, okay? But if you've got a BC player that you've talked to, okay, their behavior is unacceptable. It violates our values. Okay, if you've talked to them and they don't change their behavior, how long are you going to allow that to happen?
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey has a term called sanctioned incompetence. That's what you're doing. You're saying this is okay to be this way to people.
That's right.
And it's not.
And that's right back to the culture.
That's right.
What did you just do?
That's exactly right. And so you've got to get your HR act together. Okay, hiring, firing, onboarding, training, giving feedback. That's the other thing is one of the greatest, as I studied HR in college, one of the great curses of HR is annual performance reviews. They were created by corporate HR to say we're giving people feedback, and they are horrible.
I'm so glad you're circling back to this, because I thought it was so ironic earlier when you're clearly, somebody who loves people and loves maximizing their performance, and you went straight to, I hate performance reviews, and I was like, ooh, that is juicy. Yeah. So, okay, keep going on.
So we've all been through them. You got an annual performance review. How do they typically go? You're doing a good job. Here's a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. Just keep it up.
Yep.
What did you learn? Okay? Even though secretly they're going, boy, I wish she wouldn't do that. Instead of giving you that feedback, and usually it's 11 months past when it happened.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not going to work. So one of the things we encourage people to do is have 90-day feedback sessions, mutual feedback sessions. Okay? We don't call them reviews, because they're not reviews.
No.
Okay? They're feedback sessions. What's working for you? What's not working for you? What can I do to help you? Okay? What is it that you need that will help you do your job better? Okay? I need some training, or I need some tools, or whatever it is. What feedback do you have for me? What am I doing that's making you mad? Okay? I hate it when you come in and eat the cookies on my desk. I hate it. And we actually had that happen at Interstate Batteries. We had a guy that would go around, he'd find food, he'd eat it. And it didn't matter who it belonged to. He would eat everybody's food.
Who called him out on it? Y'all got together.
If we had more time, I would tell you what we did to the guy. Okay? No. It involved cat food. I'll just leave it at that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we're working from home right now, so I get you leave the seat down.
Yeah.
I'm just forget.
I get it. So we had a little cat food cake one day.
That's brilliant.
And he just eat it like, man, this is good.
So we're gonna have a huge book list that we're gonna have to put on the descriptions. of all this experience. He's read it. He's done it.
Oh, it's amazing. I know. It's going to be the longest.
It's incredible. It is the longest podcast we've had by far.
Notes.
Oh, I know.
It's awesome.
It should have done 2 parts or something.
So there are two other areas of the 8 functions. You got the people. The next is systems. Okay.
Okay, wait. So this is interesting. System, and when you talked about process earlier,
I think
systems.
Would be the
I
same.
know. I'm so interested.
You can have process down here too. Okay. But when I talk about systems, I'm talking about where do we gain leverage using technology. Okay. Every business uses technology in some shape, form, or fashion. If you don't, you're not on this planet.
That's right.
Okay? So, what is your game plan for how you use your technology? And there's a couple of points I want to make. Number one, have a disaster plan, a disaster recovery plan. Okay? I had a client that called me one Saturday morning about 6 a.m. He says, we had a bad lightning storm here last night, and we think lightning knocked out our server. Okay, and I'm like, well, you've got an an IT company over here that's taking care of your stuff. Pick up the phone, call them, and have them bring you another server. I know they've got them in stock. Just get them, bring it over, have them restore the backups, and you're back up and running. Costs you a little bit of time. No big deal, right? So they did that. Come back, fired it up. The backups were bad.
Backups are bad.
Backups were bad.
Oh,
Never
gosh.
tested it.
Okay. Oh gosh.
And so that endeavor cost that company $1 million in back work that they had to do. Rebuild their customer database, rebuild their financials, rebuild all that stuff.
Oh wow.
The backups were bad. So you got to have a disaster recovery plan. You're dealing with equipment that will break.
Yeah.
Okay? It will go bad. It's not if, it will happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And so just assume that it's going to happen, and what are you going to do when it does? Okay? What happens if you have a fire? What happens if you have a flood? What happens if a tornado hits your building? What's your plan? It's not that hard. It's just figure out what you're going to do. What's your contingency plan around your system?
So really quick, what's your opinion on using these big services, like Dropbox or Box or...
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Is that catastrophe proof?
Sure, absolutely. I'm a big fan of cloud-based systems, and let me tell you why. If you think about the companies like Microsoft and Amazon and Apple and all these people that do this stuff, Dropbox and Intuit and these companies, they hire the best of the best to do their stuff. They're going to hire way better talent than you could hire for what you're going to pay.
Have way better equipment.
So why not you leverage that stuff?
Yeah. But
the key in systems is find your points of failure. Where are your points of failure? Okay, I'll give you a real life example. This happened a couple of weeks ago. We live out in the country. Okay, so our internet is radio based. I had to put up a 70-foot tower so I could have point-to-point radio with the tower in downtown Commerce. And it's been very reliable, very, very good. Somebody cut the fiber to those guys. So their whole commerce leg was down.
Holy cow.
This was on a Wednesday during the week when me and my wife are both trying to work from home.
Yep.
No internet. I'm able to use my phone, but we're in the country, so the signal's not real good. I mean, it was adequate, but it wasn't great. Okay? And I mean, it took them over 24 hours to get that thing fixed. So I was like, okay, as my IT guy kicks in, and I'm going, I can't have this happen again. So I immediately called HughesNet, the satellite people, and got a HughesNet deal at my house. It cost me $100 a month. I can pay for that $100 in productivity by not losing my internet.
Oh,
so now I have 2 internet solutions coming into my house.
Such a good point.
Okay, I may never use the HughesNet, but you know what? It's there if I need it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so find the points of failure and eliminate them. Create redundancy so that you're not down. Funny story. I was walking through the hall. We were going through the budget process at Interstate Batteries, and we had a very large IT budget. We had a large staff and a lot of equipment, really leveraging technology a lot. And we'd just come out of the budget meeting, and Norm Miller, the owner of the company, goes, Mirau, he said, we sure spend a lot of money on this computer stuff. He goes, is it really worth it? I said, Norm, let me go upstairs and turn it all off. and then you tell me if it's worth it.
That's good.
Okay? You're going to have 750 people sitting on their hands. They can't call, they can't email, they can't do their work. I said, you tell me if it's worth it. He goes, I get it. I get it. I mean, technology has become so embedded in what we do every day. I mean, you look at the power of these phones and what you can do with some of these tools. I mean, I would have killed to have had some of this stuff when I was doing this stuff. We didn't do it all by hand. But here's the other thing about technology. We're not after, and I see, a statistic like 70% of ERP implementations fail.
Yeah.
Okay? They fail because of the word implementation. It's not about getting it implemented. It's about getting it adopted.
Change management.
How do you adopt this technology into the way I do my business?
Yep.
See, technology doesn't do anything for you unless it becomes a part of how you operate.
Yes.
Okay? And if you refuse to learn how to use it or use the features of it, okay, then you're never going to get the ROI for the investment that you make.
Yes.
Okay? And companies are spending billions of dollars on this technology, but it never gets adopted.
Absolutely.
And so you see it in marketing systems, you see it in ERP systems, you see it in CRMs and these types of things. I had a client that has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Salesforce. And I'm going, okay, tell me what our pipeline looks like. I have no idea.
What? Oh, good.
What? Are you kidding?
Yikes.
And you're just like, what'd you spend your money on?
Yes.
Well, we got it all set up, but our people won't use it. Okay, well, who works for who here? Okay. Yeah. There's a guy named Dave Curlin who has a piece of software called OMG that evaluates salespeople on whether they'll be successful or not.
Wow.
It's really good stuff.
Interesting.
I mean, it's really good. But he has this blog post, and it's fascinating stuff. I mean, he's one of the best that I like to read about sales. And one of the things he says is that CRMs are not optional anymore.
Definitely.
You can't be a professional salesperson and not use a CRM.
Definitely.
You can't manage the data. But the organization doesn't know what's going on out there. Okay? So you've got to have systems that give you the information so you know what's working and what's not working.
It's funny because going back to process, or that's a perfect example, but there's got to, sometimes you even have to think through what's the off-screen trigger that's going to, what is technology actually replacing? So CRM adoption, I think with a pen and a pencil in my hand. I love to write notes. That is not healthy in regards to getting tribal knowledge that I am hearing about a prospective client who is communicating pain and breakdown and business problems, and it's my job to brief the team once we close that deal. So it was super simple in regards to no longer am I allowed to write, and my team, same thing. We don't write notes. You open up the CRM right before, and you type straight into it, and there are no excuses. That's where the notes go.
Where the adoption comes into play.
But I had to realize it was the paper that it was replacing, and and it took some time to go, that is the thing. I literally would even have a little thing on my calendar, 5 minutes before, open up the CRM. Yeah. But there's stuff that's happening in real life that it's got to.
I use HubSpot for my CRM, and it directly attaches to my email.
Yep. I know.
So every time I send an email to a prospect or a client, it gets captured over here in HubSpot.
Yes.
So that conversation is there. So I can go over here and look at the client and see all the activity, every call. Because when I do make a call, I make a note. I talk to so-and-so and such day.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's the value in that, okay? I've had clients go, well, I haven't heard from you. Well, wait a minute. Here's the email that I sent on such and such date. Here's where I called you. You having your act together, number one, will shut up those whiners out there. But number two, it says, I'm a pro. I'm professional at what I do.
Yes.
And pros play this way. Pros use these tools. And so invest the time to learn how to use your tools.
Yeah.
You had mentioned Toolbox earlier. As a mechanic growing up, we kept all our tools in one spot. And at the end of the day, we put them all back. That way, when my dad went to look for a screwdriver that he really needed and liked, it was always there. Because ask me how I found out when I didn't put it back. He made it clear, you don't take a tool out of here without putting it back.
Right.
And because you don't want to have to spend an hour looking for it. Okay? And so learning to use the tools the right way can save so much time and deliver such positive ROI. Companies invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology tools that never get utilized.
Yeah.
And so you want to have a strategy that gets adoption. Disaster recovery and adoption, those are two big things. Last thing, and then I'll shut up. Okay. The last function is metrics. Okay. When things get measured, things improve. Pick a topic. I don't care. Okay. When we measure how much weight we're losing, what happens? We keep losing weight. We measure how many calories we're eating. When we measure, and by the way, Weight Watchers will tell you that's the number one key to weight loss is tracking.
Yeah.
Tracking.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you know the metrics that really drive your business? See, dashboards, getting visibility to activity. I always tell people sales is a function of activity and skill. I don't worry about the skill till I see the activity. Am I talking to enough people? Am I submitting enough proposals?
Following up. Yes.
I'll give you an example. I had a window washing franchise that I was working with. And when we looked at their sales team was actually closing like 1 to 2 deals a week. That was it. They had 2 salespeople. That wasn't enough to fill a truck, The guy was losing money. And I said, let's look at the numbers. And so we started analyzing the numbers, and what we found was every 8 proposals, we got a deal. So I said, let's kind of change the game here a little bit. I called the sales guys in. I said, I don't care how many deals you close. I want you to write 8 proposals today. And tomorrow, 8 proposals. And the next day, 8 proposals. And the numbers worked out. All of a sudden, we went from 2 deals a week to 5 2 times. We went from 2 to 10 just by writing proposals, because we found the activity that drove the sales. Okay, it's the law of numbers, And so, do you have the activity that's going to get you the business? But here's the other side of it. You'd be shocked at how many business owners don't know the core numbers about their business: their revenue, their gross profit, their gross margin, their expenses, their net profit. What's in their balance sheet. They don't know fundamental accounting stuff. And it's fascinating to me. How do you know if you're winning or not?
Yeah. Okay.
So you got to learn some stuff about your numbers. That's really, really important. But it's not that complicated. So you got to know your numbers. Your numbers tell the story about people.
Yeah.
Okay. And so using dashboards. If we went to a football game and there was no scoreboard that tells us the time, the down, the distance, or the score, how interested would we be?
So bored.
Right.
Yeah, it's like watching a bunch of guys beat each other up out there.
Yeah.
But to what end? Scoreboards drive us to, we want to win. So this tells us whether we're winning or not.
Yeah.
And you'd be shocked at how many businesses have no scoreboards.
Yeah.
They have no way to know whether we're winning. They know after the fact when they get their financials. Well, it's too late to do anything about it then. Let's forecast what we want to have happen and work toward the forecast.
Yeah, I see a lot of small businesses before I really got in and dove deep into what you were just talking about. At the end of the month, they go, you know what? Here was my checking balance last month versus this month. This is how much I gained. I'm like, whoa, no. What about your expenses? And they only bill once a quarter, and it's amazing how people run their businesses on that.
No joke. I was looking at a set of financials just the other day, and I was looking at the revenue number, and I'm going, this just doesn't make sense. What they had done is they had gotten PPP money. Included that as part of their revenue.
No.
And so they're sitting there saying, we've done almost an extra $1 million in revenue that came from the PPP loan. And I'm like, has that been forgiven? Yeah, it's been forgiven. I said, that's a balance sheet transaction. That's not a P&L transaction.
That's right.
You don't put that on your P&L because it's blowing those numbers out of the water.
There's a teeny little book. Keith Cunningham, is that right?
Yeah.
that we've probably given dozens of these away because it so concisely describes what your numbers are for, when to look at them, what is important, not all of, the big complicated accounting, but this is what you have to know.
Why you look at these 3 sheets.
Yes.
Yeah.
How to read them and what it means.
Yes.
Income statement, cash flow statement, balance sheet.
Bingo.
That's it.
And that's
wildly important. But I remember the first time I read it 10, 15 years ago thinking, why didn't they just teach this in college?
Yes. Yeah.
I took a boatload of accounting and economics, and I still never learned that.
And it's not a very, 100-page?
Oh, it's teeny. That's why we give this one away, because it's possible. You're not scared by the end of that book. We're like, I get it. Okay.
So one of the premises of Great Game of Business and why it is so popular is it teaches financial literacy to the people in the company. Okay, that's part of the process.
That's a big deal.
Know and teach the rules. Okay, so how do we get people to be able to read those 3 financial statements and know what they mean? Okay, they have a whole training that you do to teach them how a business makes money. And it's amazing what happens is when people understand that, they understand that that extra box of paper clips over here, somebody's paying for that. And that's coming out of the money that could drop to the bottom line, which could mean a bonus or not. Yep. And they begin to understand that, and so they make better decisions.
And they can see their impact.
Yep.
Like, wow, how good does that feel when you know how important you are?
That's what we call that line of sight. How what I do impacts the company. Do we have line of sight with that? And when you get that, now people understand that the work that I'm doing makes a difference.
Yeah.
So many people also focus on my revenue, not profit. That's the number one. How much revenue is your business doing a year? You know what? I'll take $1 million in profit over $3 million of revenue in a heartbeat.
So there's a friend of mine down in Australia. His name's Alan Miltz, and Alan has a saying. He says, "Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is king."
There you
go.
True.
We always talk about cash flow is the oxygen to your business. Yeah. And if you run out of cash, what happens to your business? How many of y'all are going to work for free?
Yeah. Do you know Bert Copeland?
Oh yeah, I know Bert.
Yeah. His 13-week cash flow.
Yeah.
I love listening to him.
Yeah, Bert is spot on with that.
Yeah.
And I'm a Bert fan. And it's amazing how many business owners don't know the financial condition of their business, because it helps you make decisions.
Yes.
See, as leaders, we have to make decisions. What's working, what's not, where are we going to invest our money?
Yes.
Okay, numbers will help you make those decisions. Okay, we don't want to waste our money. We work too hard to make it. Why do we throw it away? And so we want the numbers to tell us a story, but we got to be able to interpret what they say. Yep. What does this mean? Okay, is this good or not good? Okay, there's a friend of mine named Greg Crabtree who wrote a book called Simple Numbers, Big Profits. It's one of the most popular accounting books out there because he kind of demystifies all this stuff. And the premise is that there's 7 numbers on the income statement. If you pay attention to these, you can know whether you're winning or not. Now, income statements can be really, really long, but there's 7 key numbers. And if you pay attention to these numbers, you can know whether you're doing good or not.
Yeah.
And there's so many business owners that don't know because they think, that's just the accountants. I hire the accountants to do all that stuff. Well, the problem is if you don't get your information timely, what can you do about it?
Yeah.
Timely and accurate are the 2 big things I see in the numbers.
This is also where education is so important, but also asking for help or hiring help when that is a shortcoming. I mean, there was a period in my business early on where I was reading the numbers and looking at it, but I didn't know what they were telling me. And so one example, because I have too many to count, but one example was our salaries were way too high, meaning the total represented an inappropriately large percentage of our total expenses. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't have a benchmark. I did not realize how dangerous that really was and why I was so dependent on revenue, right? Because I didn't know how the ratios. Yes, exactly. And I didn't think about it like that. Like I had separated them and I didn't realize that huge salary burden was actually creating massive risk in the business for all of us. And just learning things like that. But it took professionals. It took, great leaders that have been added to my team to go, okay, let me show you something. But I wouldn't have come to that naturally. And I was reading and learning. But I had hired a fractional chief financial officer for a year. Totally changed everything, and then doing the work, implementing technology, and eventually having somebody that, his mastery is around understanding numbers and seeing a story inside of it. Back to the leadership piece. just transformational, but other people got me there.
Right.
I was never gonna, that was just not my natural inclination.
Most business owners are, Michael Gerber in his book, The E-Myth, calls them technicians. Most business owners are great technicians. They're great at plumbing. They're great at doing electrician work. They're great at HVAC, but they're lousy at accounting. They're lousy at marketing. They're lousy at sales. The best business owners I've ever known are the people that understand their weaknesses and are willing to admit, hey, you don't know everything. I will be the first to tell you, I don't know everything. I've been fortunate enough to learn a lot, but I don't know everything. And when I find something, I actually have coaches myself.
Love it.
Okay? I'd be pretty hypocritical if I said, you really need a coach, and I don't have a coach.
Good point. And listening to you, someone would think, honestly, who could possibly teach you more
I got this guy up in New England. He's an Italian, 65-year-old Italian from Boston. And he has no problem kicking my butt.
That's awesome.
No problem at all.
That is awesome.
And he is a dear brother. And but he holds me accountable. We all need somebody to hold us accountable.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the better person is not necessarily your spouse. Okay. Ask me how I know.
Not giving away any names.
So right after I started doing coaching, I went into my wife. I said, well, tell me about that problem. She goes, don't do that coaching stuff with me. It wasn't quite.
There's the line.
Stuff wasn't the word she used. Don't start that coaching stuff with me. And so, the key to success is being self-aware. Probably one of the greatest books somebody could read is the book about emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Because when you become aware of how you're perceived and what your strengths and your weaknesses are, you can begin to take action to address those things.
And you can get out of other people's way who are better suited to solve problems and do great things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so, I don't pretend to be the end-all, be-all authority on coaching. I've been doing it for 20 years. Okay, I've seen a lot.
Before coaching was cool.
Before coaching was cool. That's right. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything because I pinch myself that I get paid to do what I love to do.
I love it.
And when you can find that, you don't go to work. You get to go help somebody.
Yes.
And that's why we do it.
Agreed. So amazing. I love it. Well, thank you, Mike, so much for pouring so much wisdom and passion into the business world and then into this conversation today. I told you, this is why he was on here, because your brain will be like, oh my gosh, I'm exploding over here with things I want to go work on and think about and challenge myself on. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Prioritization is one of the greatest skills you can develop. We always got more to do than we got time to do it.
Where can people find you, Mike?
Best way is our website is www.resultsimproved.com. You can go to our website and reach out to me there. And that's the best way, is just go to our website, send me a message, we'll follow up. And, we always are willing to help anybody, no matter what their situation is. And, it gives me a good excuse to go have a cup of coffee with somebody, make a new friend.
Dive into an amazing conversation. Yep. I love it. As a side note, do you know Mark Vincent? He has a podcast called The Third Turn
Mark.
With Convene, or he was formerly with Convene Process Consulting.
Yeah.
So he is diving into this third turn work, where the first turn of a person is really them finding their mastery and their confidence in the value they bring. Like finding their place. And then the second turn is finding their place in leadership, like creating space for other people to be successful in doing all the things. And then the third turn is leaders, successful leaders who are really maximizing their significance and their impact. And it's amazing because I'm listening to you being like, oh my gosh, literally like third turn. Like, just listening to the evolution of, this incredible career and, where you get to be and, what you get to do is amazing.
I have people ask me all the time, how did you learn all this stuff? And I tell them, I just hang out with people that have been doing it for a long time, and I ask a lot of questions. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I really do. I mean, I've learned from so many coaches that have forgotten more about coaching than I'll ever know. And I love to hang out with them and listen to them. And I got to do some of that last week with some of the folks at Great Game of Business. I mean, there are some brilliant people that are coaches in that organization. And, I look at what they do and I'm going, that makes a lot of sense to do that way. And I mean, that's how you get good at this, is you just watch what other people, you learn from the people that are the best in the world. And that's what athletes do. They train each other. They have coaches, and they have people that teach them and help them get better. And so coaching's not, that end all be all, solve all your problems. It's not, okay, but it sure does help. It can help, and sometimes having a extra set of eyes look at stuff can give you some perspective. When I was an IT student in college, we, getting computer time, because we had a big IBM mainframe, and getting computer time was always at a premium because everybody was trying to do it. You rarely could get on there during the day.
Yeah.
So I figured it out. The best time to go up there and get lab time was at midnight. Because it was open 24/7. And the best part was all the Chinese students were in there. And so when I would have a problem with my program, I could not figure out why it wouldn't work. I'd bring over my friend Luan, and Luan would look, he goes, "You're missing that right there." I've looked at this 100 times and could not find that. He goes, "It's right there. Fix that. Fix it and it'll work."
Wow. Getting
a separate set of eyes to look at it that's not emotionally tied to it, there's so much value to that. So, I have people outside my company evaluate what we're doing.
That's
and
fantastic.
Because I want their feedback. I want to get better. And that's one of my insatiable desires is I'm always, what can we do to be better? What can we do to add more value? And that's where you win as a business. You keep doing that, you'll have all the business you need.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you again so much. What a fun conversation. We have so much more to do, Kyle. I know. Onward and upward.
Absolutely.
It's going to explode.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thanks. Thanks for letting me be a part.
So fun.
I think this is cool.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see everybody.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Corporate Caffeine Podcast, please help us help you by subscribing. I also hope you'll find us on social media. You can follow me, Dacia Coffee, and my company, The Marketing Blender, by searching us on your favorite platform or checking out the show notes for the links. We bring this to you because we envision a business world full of meaning, connection, and prosperity for us all. Until next time, onward and upward.